is
that joke.
start that like turned to the point where we like they had a Hell in a Cell match. We want a Hell in a Cell match on Raw, and we had like 60 Hell in a Cell matches in like one weekend. It was like crazy, one on SmackDown. Then we had the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and then one on Raw. It was like, come on, like this is like it's like watching kids like fight in the sandbox here. But I mean, Brock Lesnar on the show definitely helped with the ratings last week, and I imagine that was the one thing that didn't make sense to me tonight. I was looking at the Raw preview, ahead of doing the show. I was like what's going to be on the show tonight? It was just like all they were advertising was a triple threat and the Raw tag titles. And I was like, okay, I guess no Lesnar tonight. I guess we'll see him at the Rumble. And it was like then Brock Lesnar walks out in Philadelphia, gets an enormous reaction. Like, why wouldn't you promote that?
Yeah, that's odd. And they've done that in the past as well, where they're going to have like a big name show up or a massive match or championship match, something, and they don't mention it. It's not in the preview. And then as soon as Raw starts, it's, oh, well, this person's coming back tonight or this is going to happen. Like, but why didn't you guys just advertise this? More people would have watched it. But it was an odd decision. But I'm surprised. I wonder how much Brock Lesnar we're going to get from now until WrestleMania. Because he's been, like, he was at day one. He was on Raw. He was on SmackDown. He's on Raw again. That's four times in a week and a half.
And I imagine he'll be on SmackDown again this week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That I'm guessing. I mean, Roman's gonna be there, and I'm guessing they're gonna go with Seth Rollins and everything. But Lesnar's gonna show up, and if it's not Lesnar, Heyman, he's gonna be topic of discussion. So
and this by far has been the most. And was Brock on the SmackDown heading into day one?
That was a year in review type of thing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but he was before that.
Okay, that's right, because that was on the 31st. That's right. Yeah, he was on the one before that, heading in. So it's like this is like consistently like the most Brock Lesnar appearances on television I think we've had since he came back 10 years ago already. 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. After his UFC stint.
Either I'm getting old, and because that just doesn't seem like it was that long ago. It doesn't seem like it should be 10 years.
No, and it's funny because I was talking about this with actually last night. We were watching a couple of Rumbles, Royal Rumbles, just like the endings, and we put Royal Rumble 2010, and we're like, this was 12 years ago. Yeah, and we're like, well, Sheamus won the Rumble or whatever it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and then we put the 2008 Rumble, and we're like, this was 14 years ago.
That was a great Rumble too, Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and I'm watching. It was actually, and he had some good names. But you're like, this was 14 years ago? Lesnar came back. You just said it. Lesnar came back in 2012, literally this time, right? Right after WrestleMania. So 10 years ago already.
Right.
Wow.
And he's maintained star power too. It's never dropped off. It's never been like Brock Lesnar comes back and there's not an immediate return on that investment.
Oh, it's there.
Like it's been so careful the way that they've used Lesnar, and it hasn't made a lot of people happy, obviously.
They can't please. Look, they can't please everybody, but I think what we're getting from Lesnar now in terms of a feud with Roman Reigns and what looks to be ultimately a match at WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, and now Bobby Lashley at the Rumble, this is a match that everyone's kind of wanted to see in some way, right? Lesnar, Lashley, because it makes sense. Two MMA fighters, legit tough guys, champions. I mean, Lashley, a champ, 2-3 months ago, and Lesnar. So it's something I think a lot of people wanted to see. We're getting it at the Rumble. Whether we get a clean finish or not, that remains to be seen. But I like what they're doing with Lesnar. And honestly, for the first time in probably ever, it looks like Lesnar's actually enjoying himself.
Yeah, and Billy Hafner, Uncle Billy in the chat just said that too, that he's having fun for once.
Yeah.
Because for a while it does seem like being there was like effort. I don't think that was like a gimmick where it just appeared like he didn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, because I think he still had aspirations of being, you know, a UFC guy. You know, especially like in 2016 when he went back. I think he faced Mark Hunt at that one.
Yeah, where he won judge's decision, if I'm not mistaken. That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, and I think they overturned it because of the wasn't he on like
Drug.
wasn't it like estrogen or something like that, or it was
Yeah,
just
you saw that. That was
yeah,
a drug.
it was like canceled out. But I mean, that was 2016. You know, that was a couple years into that run already, and he had that like BS match against Dean Ambrose. You know, John Moxley now of AEW
Oof,
at WrestleMania. That just it went
that was
nowhere.
bad.
But it's almost like, you know, now that he knows that that's in the rearview mirror. You know, I think he teased a comeback to UFC a couple times, and was using UFC as leverage. You know, in his negotiating with WWE sometimes. Now that he knows that that's in his rearview mirror, you know, he's in that second half of life now as an athlete where, you know, there's not going to be any more big title matches. You know, there's not going to be any big title fights, no prize fighting. You know, if he went back to UFC, maybe he'd do well. Maybe it's like a Mike Tyson thing where he's getting beat by that skinny Irish guy. And we are going to drop that one right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you know, and potentially could embarrass himself. We don't know, or you know, he can do wrestling and have fun and make a lot of money.
And
So, so I do think that him having some fun, you know, and really actually seem like he's enjoying himself is definitely playing
a role.
Playing a role.
Yeah, I think it's playing a role. I think it's everything we just mentioned. I think at one point, or maybe for the longest time, he probably had one eye on the UFC and the other in WWE to kind of see, okay, could I get back into this? Could I, you know, do I stay in wrestling? And at one point, I mean, when he lost at WrestleMania to Drew McIntyre, everyone, myself included, you know, we all said, oh, we're never going to see Lesnar again. Forget it, especially with COVID and everything going around. And who knows when they're going to be back in front of people and all that stuff. And lo and behold, the first time they were kind of really back in front of people on a regular basis, out comes Lesnar at SummerSlam. And
yeah, I never thought that we'd never see him again, but I wasn't sure because of the COVID thing. I was like they're not gonna because of how careful they've used Lesnar. Like every single spot they pick for him is like the perfect spot.
Yeah,
you know, it's like Samoa Joe is, you know, getting a head of steam. Wouldn't it be great to see Brock Lesnar face Samoa Joe? Okay, let's do it. You know,
yeah.
Braun Strowman. Even Kane, I think, got a match against Brock Lesnar at some point. You know, like they but they've used them, you know, judiciously, where it's like it always made sense. It was never like a wasted match, and it was always like a really well hyped up match because again, it's like, you know, Brock Lesnar comes even with his own, you know, storyline handlers, you know, with Paul Heyman leading the way on everything probably at his contractual request. And it's always good. And Paul Heyman, when he has like one thing to concentrate on, is a genius.
Gold.
You know, I think giving him the book and having him run an entire show might not be the best idea, but with single things where it's like, this is the objective. Can you get us there? Yes.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal.
He's been, I mean, I'm fortunate enough that he's been on SmackDown since he came back with Roman. So I see him every single week. He's up there for me. I think he's the best guy that they have on the mic.
Oh, by far.
Not even close. And I'll argue and put him up against anyone in the business right now. AEW, Ring of Honor, doesn't matter. No one touches him. No one touches him.
Paul Heyman is really just phenomenal. I mean, he's one of the he's one of the greatest of all time. You know, if you think about like, you know, managers, you know, it's like I think it, you know, I don't know if I think it might be sacrilegious to say that Bobby Heenan would be second. So let's just say that Paul Heyman and Bobby Heenan are tied for first on the great all-time managers.
Yeah.
But in terms of being like a talker in professional wrestling, I think Paul Heyman is again in the top 5.
Yeah.
I don't know what the art, you know, who else, like, you know, I mean, there's been great promos, but in terms of like a guy who could build a match and force you into a building, he's up there. He's up there.
His facial expressions, his interview type of thing when he spoke right before day one, where he was sitting down with Caleb Braxton, and he wasn't like not clean shaven at all, and he's there and he's shaking. He has that sip of water and everything. He knows how to work an audience. He knows how to get you involved. The whole, ladies and gentlemen, that in and of itself, you get excited and makes you want to kind of, to mimic him and do what he does. And when you throw him in and you have someone like Lesnar right now who's having fun and who's cutting his own promos to a certain extent, and tonight told a knock joke. I mean, Heyman said it. He's like, oh, I'm in Philadelphia and Lesnar's saying a knock joke. I never thought I'd see this. It's gold. It's gold. And the people he's up against right now, I mean, MVP or Lashley, but you have MVP who's very good on the mic as well. Roman Reigns has improved leaps and bounds in the past couple of years. So it works. He's money. And I'm sure Vince is paying him very well. I'm sure Lesnar's being paid a very good amount.
Oh yeah.
But, I mean, like you said, very good return on investment.
Yeah. It's and tonight, and you just alluded to this segment, with Bobby Lashley, because they're having fun and because Paul Heyman has some creative leeway, and obviously Lesnar can just, I think Lesnar can just do whatever the hell he wants.
Oh yeah. Like Lesnar can get on the mic, start talking about Mickey Mouse, and Vince won't bat an eye.
Right. Paul Heyman, maybe modern day Bobby Heenan, even he's definitely modern day Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
By far, because Paul Heyman, not only can he get you into the building with a promo. I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've seen a Paul Heyman promo where it's like, God, like, how much is it for a flight to this place? And like, what's the market look like on the tickets? Yeah. He's also really a very funny man.
Yeah.
Like he gets comedy. Like there was like a leaked dark match that came out, a couple weeks ago where it was like the Usos and Roman Reigns. And versus I forget who might have been the Street Profits or something like that. I can't remember what it was, or no, it was the New Day. And I think Paul Heyman was part of the match.
Yeah, he got tagged in and he took off his jacket.
Yeah. So he's on the apron. He wants to be tagged in. Oh no, he was just at ringside, but he wanted to be tagged in after Jimmy Uso like knocked out Xavier Woods or whatever it was. Takes off the jacket, makes this big show of it after getting tagged in. And then as he's getting in the ring, he trips on the ropes and they just start clubbing away at him. And then he immediately tags out. It was so funny. Like he classic wrestling pratfall stuff. He totally gets it. He totally gets it.
He doesn't. What I like about Heyman is the fact that he keeps things so simple. And I mean, you said the word classic, but he keeps it so simple. It's not over the top. It's something believable. And it just works. You throw that in with his facial expressions and everything else. It works. He gets it. And I mean, he's been in the business for what, 30, 40 years now.
At least, yeah. I mean, he was taking pictures for Vince McMahon Sr. at ringside in the 70s. And I think he was at Studio 54. He's the one who discovered Bam Bam Bigelow and started his whole entire career.
Yeah,
Bam Bam Bigelow was a discovery of Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman had him do. I think they set up a ring at Studio 54 and had him do just like like a show off like sizzle reel there.
Wow. I'm surprised by Heyman every single time I watch an episode of the Broken Skull Sessions with DDP or like let's say Chris Jericho or Kevin Nash was on it a while back. They're all talking about like they're talking about back in the 80s and like Heyman, Paul Heyman. I'm like shit, like this guy. Even back in the 80s, he knew what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people tend to think, oh, Heyman's ECW or ECW failure or this and that. There's a bit more to Heyman than that.
And ECW is not a failure. No. The very fact that people still talk about them after the real ECW died over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He got an independent promotion that was nothing. Really it was just like a niche independent promotion out of Philadelphia on the East Coast that was just struggling to survive, some NWA offshoot when NWA had nothing left, no steam, which I still don't really think they have too much steam, and turn them into a national, worldwide, worldly known promotion among wrestling fans, and got them on pay-per-view and got them a television deal. It didn't work out because they ran out of money, and he was really bad with handling money. But
he owed people a lot of money.
Yeah, I think he still does. But it's not a failure, not by any stretch.
No. And I mean, ultimately it was part of the invasion angle. If you look at the stars that they made, Rob Van Dam, Taz, right? And then Taz in AEW, Van Dam's is in the Hall of Fame. So not a failure. by any means.
No, and he took a lot of guys that never would have had a career, even in the 90s, and made them into something. Like they always said that ECW was like the land of misfit toys. Guys that just never weren't cut from that mold of a mainstream television star wrestler, and made them into stars, turned them, accentuated all their positives, which is something that we don't always see happen on WWE televisions. Like sometimes they take the weakest aspect of a person's game and accentuate that, which seems to kill them off very quickly. Like Liv Morgan cutting promos, not her strong suit, so don't have her do it. What do? They have her cut a promo every week. It's like,
I was gonna say something. I was gonna say something. Well, I'll leave it for after regarding promos. And another female that was on the show tonight, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. In terms
we got to talk about that. But this segment with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, man, that got me fired up. And that's the other thing I love about the Heyman, Brock Lesnar segments, where it's like, those things that are like that people talk about, that might be taboo. And it's not extraordinarily taboo, but they'll go there. It's not, it wasn't, it was terrible when they did it, but like, it's totally like up Paul Heyman's sleeve to make fun of Jerry Lawler's heart attack, when that happened at the time. And last week, he made that quip about Roman Reigns getting COVID just, after losing him as a special counsel. And this week, there's been a lot of comparisons to Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley kind of being like another version of Brock Lesnar. Yeah. And they finished the big promo tonight with Brock Lesnar saying that Bobby Lashley is a Brock Lesnar wannabe. And I was like, oh my God, that's like straight out of page 1 of the Paul Heyman playbook. It was perfect.
Oh yeah. And if there's one person that can get away with it, it's Brock Lesnar.
Oh.
It's Lesnar. And even, it says something I liked was the commentary at the end by Corey Graves. He said, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along the lines of, only Brock Lesnar could talk down on Bobby Lashley and call him a Brock Lesnar wannabe and get away with it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's true. And it worked. And I'm very curious to see what happens next week. Because I'm guessing Lesnar shows up, not on SmackDown, at least on Raw next week. And they're see, for the first time in a while, I don't know what they're going to do with the title, because this could really go either way with Lesnar. In one way, I don't see him losing, not this soon, but they're building Lashley up to be a monster as well. And even tonight, I mean, Lesnar kind of got the upper hand in terms of, the promo, but Lashley looked strong afterwards, took released some steam, some pressure, beat the crap out of Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin. Got a cut, by the way, while he was doing it, and we'll see. It's going to be very, very fun. And this is, I love this comment right here by Billy Hefner. People hate on Brock now, but they're going to miss him when he's gone in a few years. And he's a legit star. That's why he's a legit star. He's someone that could beat up practically anyone in the locker room, and he's believable. Unbelievable. That's the thing as well. It's believable. So I agree with that comment. Absolutely.
Yeah, and there is no bigger star like in the wings to replace him. It's like they're really excited about this Gable Steveson guy that they have, but in terms of being like a recognizable sports figure, like not as big as like what Brock Lesnar did. Like him going away in 2004 and trying football, didn't get there, but I mean, he almost made the practice squad, after not having played football. It's like high school or something like that.
He was the last one cut, wasn't he?
Yeah. And that's a freakish athlete to even do that. Just walk onto a football field, say, here I am, and let's do it. Like, that's weird. No one should be able to do that. And he did. And then it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do? He went to Japan, won a title there, of course. And then it's like UFC. And he became like one of the biggest stars that UFC had at the time. Sold a gazillion pay-per-view buys. It's ridiculous what this guy has done in his career. There's like, what a get for WWE to have had him for 10 years when their business, like, creatively has been at, an all-time horrible for at least the past I would say almost 10 years. When they went to 3 hours on Raw, it was a downhill slope from there because Raw was the A show at the time. Now SmackDown at 2 hours is so much more watchable because it's 2 hours, and if something's bad, it's not going to get dragged out to death.
No,
Brock Lesnar kept them alive during that time.
Oh yeah, that show was on life support at one point, and it kind of makes you wonder. I mean, you mentioned Lesnar. Lesnar's been in the company for 20 years. 20 years.
Yes.
What superstar do they have right now, including Roman Reigns, that you could look at 20 years from now and be like, you know what, this guy's gonna have the same impact or the same drawing power as a Brock Lesnar does right now?
There's no athletes like Brock Lesnar.
No.
He's he really is like a once in a generation kind of guy.
And all of this, and he's not as charismatic as maybe a Chris Jericho or The Rock or Austin. And for him, it's what sells you on Lesnar is his physique and him in the ring and him legit being able to kick anyone's ass.
And the perfect aura that they built around him, where it's just like he's untouchable. He can't mess with Brock.
No, when he showed up 20 years ago and his traps had traps, that's a pretty intimidating figure.
Oh my God, yeah, I remember that too. I still remember that. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, that was just the first segment that we're talking about here.
We're just getting started.
There's still plenty to talk about on the show that was really, really good and really surprising too. This show was dominated. I think Brock Lesnar coming out on top in that promo exchange was like the one, or maybe the cutting edge segment too. Those were like the only 2 times that like a face came out on top in any segment. It was like all heels tonight. I think almost every single match was won by a heel. I'm looking through, and yes, it was, except for the AJ Styles match, which was a DQ. But it was like totally like Empire Strikes Back heels all on top tonight. And so we have RK Bro versus the Alpha Academy, which last week I was like, this has been built really well.
Yeah.
Like, go on. I'm sorry.
Well, no, sorry. I was just gonna say it's something that you tweeted out a couple of times. Otis, they're really, they're getting behind. They're getting behind him. Even when he was on SmackDown before getting drafted to Raw, he was squashing some wrestlers, and he was made to look like $1 billion. At one point, he pretty much single-handedly took out the Street Profits, and like, okay, they're building him up, but are they ever going to pull the trigger? Are they ever going to put the titles on them or do something? And that's why when the match happened tonight, or when it was announced, I'm like, okay, but like this is gonna end in some DQ. Something's gonna happen. It didn't. This was a clean win. And you said it in your tweet. Orton doesn't get pinned often.
No,
not cleanly.
No,
so they must see something in Otis.
I just I did not see that coming at all. I was like, they're not going to take the titles off of RK Bro. This is like, what a great act this is. I was like, I don't think that RK Bro versus Alpha Academy. This is what I said last week, that Alpha Academy and RK Bro aren't a Royal Rumble match. Maybe like the Raw heading into or the Raw after Rumble, they have their tag title match. But they did it this week in Philadelphia, which is a great wrestling city, and they made the switch. I just couldn't believe it. And not only did they make the switch, like every single time RK Bro has ever lost, it's been Riddle gets pinned almost every single time. Like I don't think Orton got pinned once in that entire run with RK Bro, and then he gets pinned to lose the titles. Wow. That's a statement.
That's a big thing. That's going to be big because now it kind of makes you think, well, what are they going to do with RK Bro? Are they going to do something where Orton apologizes? Like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm the one that, that got pinned, that cost us the titles. Does Riddle turn on Orton? Does Orton turn on Riddle? I mean, the Rumble match is coming up. Does one eliminate the other? Do we get maybe an inevitable WrestleMania match between the two? Or do they keep them together and, they win the titles back at WrestleMania or something? I don't know. So this could really go either way as well.
Right. Absolutely. And there's a lot that you can do to play with this here. They were the champions, but like this could make for some even better segments where maybe, maybe they do a thing where Riddle tries to, console Orton and get him his mojo back or something stupid like that. It's like there's a lot of potential for some fun here too.
Oh, there is.
That tag team has been all about fun. I know everybody's like, oh, well, I guess that's it. You know, it was fun while it lasted, but Randy Orton's going to turn on Riddle now, and that's the end of that.
It didn't happen. That's the thing.
I don't think it's a slam dunk that he's turning on him.
I don't know. I mean, look, following WWE's logic, yes, right? But it's been a couple of months now where WWE's logic actually doesn't apply to WWE. And they've done such a good job with this tag team that honestly, I hope they keep them together.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, Kit. We'll see.
Well, look, it's a possibility. But
always is.
And I liked it. I think it was last week or the week before where they hugged it out, and then Orton kind of joked that that fake RKO. I'm like, oh, okay, are they planning this heat? But they didn't. It's not something they played along with. And I hope they keep them together because you said it yourself. This has been such a fun tag team to watch, and it's not like Orton needs to be on his own and chasing the WWE title. He doesn't need that. And maybe Riddle's not yet at that level where that main event level just yet. So maybe keeping them as a tag team might not be the worst idea in the world.
Right, absolutely. And I'm not even sure 100% they even feel like Riddle is going to ever be at that level. The way they, the way they kind of make him seem so goofy and silly, But I mean, that switch could turn, in a serious feud with Randy Orton. But I think this needs to grow a little more. I'm trying to think of there was a tag team in the last year. I forget what it was, but they didn't really team much at all. I think it might have been Andrade and Angel Garza or something like that, where they didn't tag a lot. And then
the Performance Center.
Yeah, I think they were teasing a breakup before the tag team even got off the skids. I was like, geez,
Yeah.
Oh no, you know what? Doudrop and Eva Marie. It was the first night they were teasing they're gonna break up or something like that.
Yeah.
What the hell? But this one truly does need some more time to build, and I'd like to see the relationship develop a little more. Something where it would really, really be heartbreaking if Orton or Riddle makes the turn. We're close, but we're not there yet. I think they need to give it a little more time. And plus, WrestleMania, it's still far away. April is solid.
3 months, 3.5 months away still. Yeah.
Right. It's not easy to maintain that momentum. That's why I always kind of hated that, in recent years, because of how this society has changed, the way that we consume and everything. It's instant gratification. I want it now. So when Shinsuke Nakamura wins the Rumble in 2018, and it's going to be Nakamura versus AJ Styles, it got built for so long that when you got to the match, it was oh, that was disappointing. They're not. It's very difficult to maintain the momentum for a solid couple months.
No,
so it's almost incredible that they, when you think 10 years ago, that they built The Rock and John Cena for a year.
And that's back-to-back years, right? At WrestleMania,
right?
And I don't know what it was. I mean, it's maybe because it was The Rock and John Cena, or maybe it was one of those rare occasions where it just kind of worked for them. But I don't know if they could keep up the momentum for 3 or 4 months. We saw it with Becky Lynch as well when she became the man prior to her winning the title. When she won it, was kind of
it lost momentum.
It lost momentum. She won the title. Okay, great, she won the title, but this would have been better had she won the title 2 months ago as opposed to now, because it was overkill.
And even who she beat for the title, Ronda Rousey, where she was super athlete and just got incredible reactions. It was just what a great debut for her. And then all of a sudden, it's well, we want more. And, now they're shoving her down our throats. So we're turning on her. It's instant gratification and the fickleness of the fans sometimes. When Daniel Bryan would call them fickle, he wasn't kidding. It's hard to maintain momentum. I can't even imagine them trying to do a Rock and John Cena type build for a year where they announce it a year in advance and build it. They didn't do anything with it for I think the first 6 months, and then they started ramping up toward after Survivor Series and stuff like that, which is fine. But I don't think I think the society's changed so much that I don't think we will ever see something like that again. And even the Royal Rumble sometimes is a kiss of death.
Yeah, it is. And to add to that, and maybe one of the things, like you said, society these days, let's not forget social media 10 years ago was not exactly the same as it is now.
Right.
The impact of Twitter, Instagram. Yes, Facebook existed 10 years ago, and even Twitter and Instagram, but not the same as now. Now you have feuds and storylines that are being built and created, and
Right.
momentum's, everything through 1 minute videos on Twitter,
Yeah.
through 1 minute videos on Instagram, and that adds a lot. So them being able to build, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, but let's say The Rock versus Roman Reigns, right? That's something that's been rumored for forever now. It seems like if they're going to do it at WrestleMania, there's no way this, they could do what they did with Rock and Cena and announce it a year prior. That's not going to happen. There's
Right.
no way. It's going to lose too much momentum.
Yeah, and also the toxicity of the internet has increased tenfold in the years that have passed, and just in a decade, it's become so awful. Just such an awful place to want to exist on social media.
No, you can't enjoy anything these days.
No, you're not allowed to. You can't enjoy AEW. You can't enjoy WWE.
No.
If you enjoy one, you hate the other, and if and vice versa. It's like it's just toxic, very, very toxic. It's incredible that anything gets a chance. and then of course, like and I don't want to get all political here, but of course, like the very the people that emerge from the toxicity, the toxic pool, are some of the very worst of our societies coming to lead us. It's like crazy. That's a byproduct of social media. Like the person who gets the most likes is now the most. That's it. It's like crazy. I don't get it. No. All right. Well, we just thank you, Roy, for zapping that Russian bot. We appreciate that coming to try to influence our society there.
No, we're not doing that. Not here.
Here's another guy that WWE seems to really be getting behind, to the point where the Street Profits make their entrance, and then the Dirty Dogs and Apollo Crews do, and then the guy on the other team then gets his very own television entrance in Damian Priest. Roy, I'm back and forth on how I feel about Damian Priest. I think he's got a good look, but I think he's lacking something in the charisma area. They're putting, the eyeliner on him now to try to give him some kind of like edge and make him, kind of like, the good and evil angel on the shoulder. Like, he's got the Priest angel, and then he's got like the Damian side, where he's turned, which I like that edge, but but then like he'll do like flips, and then he'll have a match that I think is underwhelming. Like I've pontificated on Damian Priest many times on the show. I want to know what you think of him, and maybe you can bring a fresh perspective to this too. Who knows?
I've always been kind of on the edge. We spoke about this right after WrestleMania. We're like, Damian Priest and whoever else. Well, they got shown up by Bad Bunny at WrestleMania, right? And like, what are they going to do with Damian Priest now? And at one point after Mania, I was just kind of like, oh my God, this is bad. Like, what are they doing with him? And now I don't know if they're going that whole like Finn Balor demon thing where they'll put the eyeliner on him, like you mentioned, on Damian Priest, and suddenly he's some maniac. And when he doesn't have the eyeliner, he's normal. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's sometimes his moveset, maybe he does certain moves that he shouldn't be doing, maybe a guy his size shouldn't be doing. Something else I noticed tonight, maybe it's just me, but when he was cutting that promo backstage with the Street Profits, he was talking, and then suddenly his voice got very deep when he was mentioning, I don't know who, he was mentioning the Dirty Dogs, and his voice just changed, got so much deeper. I'm like, was that intentional? Are they trying to do that with him? But something's off, and even the fans, I don't think it's just us. I think the fans in the arena as well, he's not getting the reception I think that, they're hoping that he would get, especially this deep into his United States title run.
I agree. I just, it's underwhelming sometimes. It really is, and Billy Hefner, like I talked about how I thought Priest was going to win the Royal Rumble back in October. And again, it does seem like they're gearing him up for a Rumble win. I actually don't think he's going to win the Rumble at this point now. I don't know who could possibly win the Rumble. I think it very well could be Brock Lesnar. Who the hell knows?
I have 3 people in mind. 4, I guess, if we want to include
Johnny Knoxville,
Priest. God, I hope not. Austin Theory.
Whoa.
I think, that's
an outside the box one.
That's an outside. You could credit Paul for that. He put that in my head a while back, and it just feels like they're strapping that rocket on him. If he doesn't win it, I think he probably gets a Final Four. He gets like some big push. It's either him, Lesnar, or I think it's going to be Bobby Lashley. I think somehow, some way, one of those three guys ends up getting it.
Yeah, if the WWE title match doesn't main event the show, which I don't know if they'll go back to that old route of the the Rumbles happening and then the title matches. I don't know what they'll do, but I doubt. I think the title match will be in the middle of the show. I mean, this is, by the way, shaped up to be one of the best Royal Rumbles in years.
Card wise.
Yeah, by far. I mean, like day one was built like, my God, like this is like an A-level pay-per-view. Royal Rumble is built even bigger somehow. Like the matches are really marquee matches, every single one of them.
Yeah.
But like I think if they do the title match, I think whoever loses the WWE title match is going to win the Rumble. It's either going to be Bobby Lashley or Brock Lesnar for me.
That's it. Yeah,
it's got to be one of those. Damian Priest will wind up. Maybe he'll be the final one eliminated. He'll be like the runner-up. They did that with Roman Reigns in 2014, then had him win it all in 2015.
Could be. And, they gave him, even tonight when he announced it, I mean, he got his own video, right? It wasn't just like some random graphic where, Damian Priest
he was the only one that declared tonight too, I think.
If I'm not mistaken. I mean, AJ Styles was already declared.
Yes.
He was the only one tonight. And they might do something where he's entrant number 1 and he lasts maybe until like the final 4 or something, then he gets eliminated.
Right.
But
he'll have a moment.
He'll have a moment. Yeah, he'll have a moment. They'll do something. I don't know. I think Kane holds the record for the most eliminations in a single Rumble. Was it 8 or 12 or something?
I think it was 11. I think Roman Reigns passed it, or Braun Strowman might have passed it. I can't remember.
Oh, it's true. You're right. It's no longer Kane. It's true.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Braun Strowman passed that, but
we could. Yeah, but maybe you're probably correct. Yeah, you're probably right actually. But I think he surpassed it at the Saudi Arabia Rumble or something, didn't he?
Oh yeah. That very well could be too. Let's see.
The
highest number of wrestlers. Let's see. I'm on the Royal Rumble records here.
Okay.
Most Rumble victories, most times being the runner-up, winners by number, longest time spent in the Rumble, cumulative time. Come on, most eliminations in a single Rumble.
There you go.
Brock Lesnar in 2020 had 13.
Oh, it's true. He just went on record. He was killing everybody.
Right. That was the oh my God, what a great Rumble that was too. Holy crap.
Especially when you look back and you think that was one of the last. I know Elimination Chamber was the last one, but that was like one of the last pay-per-views in front of a crowd, and it was a stadium and McIntyre. It was a good Rumble top to bottom. That
was a great Rumble. I think I remember coming on Wrestleview Live after that Rumble, and I said that's probably one of the best Royal Rumbles I've ever seen. Period. Full stop.
You had everyone. You had so many storylines within the Rumble match.
Edge come back.
Even MVP came back. He got a pretty big pop. Lesnar at one point.
Carlito, I think was there.
Carlito came back. That's true. Carlito. The final two, Roman and Drew. Roman at that point was untouchable. And you're like, okay, well, is it going to be Roman? No, it's McIntyre. And the crowd loved it and everything. It was massive. It was so you had Edge and Orton as well, the reunion.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And another great one was like Ricochet was involved in the Brock Lesnar elimination. Yeah, Drew McIntyre was the one that kicked him over the top rope, but Ricochet, who had been decimated by Lesnar prior to that, low blowed him, and then McIntyre kicked him over the top rope, which I thought was just like a great touch. That was like another one of those good Paul Heyman things,
You had Keith Lee as well, and I remember Lesnar being like, "Oh, big boy" or something like that. Yeah.
So just good. That was just a great Rumble. But that was the one where and he tied Braun Strowman, who had 13 in the greatest Royal Rumble.
There you go.
Because in Saudi Arabia, everything has to be great. Yeah. But the previous record holder was Roman Reigns when he was the runner-up, 12 eliminations in 2014.
Wow. Okay. So maybe they won't do 13 or 14 eliminations for Damian Priest, but I think he'll get some moment where he does eliminate. Probably goes on a run, eliminates a couple of people, or he lasts 30, 40 minutes. I think he gets something out of it, but I don't think he wins it. It's too early for him, and I think
he could be in the range of 6 or 7 eliminations. I could see that. Something where it's like
that's fair.
A good enough showing where people are talking about him, but not much more.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
much more than that. So well, we shall see. We shall see. But in tonight, he actually loses this match. He doesn't get pinned. Angelo Dawkins does, but the
Yeah.
Dirty Dogs and Apollo Crews, who have been beaten up and destroyed by Damian Priest in recent weeks, they decided tonight's night they're going to get a little steam back, and they have them win. No harm, no foul here. I don't
It doesn't change much for anyone. I mean,
Nah.
Ziggler and Rude are at this point in their careers just kind of there. And, in terms of Apollo Crews, and I don't mean to, say this in a bad way, no disrespect, but at this point with Apollo Crews, ever since he got drafted to Raw, he hasn't done much.
No,
he was
he
the
hasn't
champion
at all.
on SmackDown, and that's who he got Commander Aziz, and they gave him that, Nigerian accent. Moves to Raw, and he's on Main Event, I think, at one point, and it's like you. This match changed nothing for me. Like
Yeah, I think the victory just kind of gives them a reason to still kind of just be there. Because it's like, how many times can they get beat and still continues on? So I guess the victory kind of allows them to stretch it out a little further into the Rumble. So
Yeah.
I think that's just about it. But it was actually a very good 6-man tag, and this first hour of Raw was just breezed by. It was very good.
There was nothing bad to say about the first hour of Raw, which is surprising.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to say this, because this was some news that came out. It might have been, like Jerome posted this, and it was just like a passing story, but it is I think, a big story that they have changed Seth Rollins' name to Seth freaking Rollins, legit.
Yeah. He's been saying it forever. I realized that last week.
Tagline, but now it's like anytime they mention the man's name.
Yeah.
It's like I lost count. I was actually going to count how many times I said it, and I was like, I cannot continue to do this. This is driving me crazy. It's like when on day one when they kept saying like, oh, premium
live event.
Premium live event.
There you go.
Premium live event. But it's official. It's WWE.com official. Seth freaking Rollins.
Wow. As a side note, is Charlotte Flair still Charlotte Flair?
Great question.
Because on the graphic tonight for the Royal Rumble, they said, the narrator, the voiceover said Charlotte Flair, but the graphic just said Charlotte. Okay, so she's still Charlotte Flair, because the graphic said Charlotte only. So I was kind of surprised. But yeah, I mean, Seth freaking Rollins at this point. Is that necessary? Does that? I don't know.
I don't know why that had to change. It's like one of those like weird things where it's like Angel Garza is not Angel Garza anymore. It's just Angel, and Humberto Carrillo is just Humberto. It's like
Matt Riddle's just Riddle at one point.
Right. Well, he is still Riddle. He's not Matt Riddle anymore. It's just Riddle. And so it's like usually they take names away. They don't add to it.
Yeah. I guess it's the character, whatever they're trying to build with the Seth Rollins character. By the way, I'm actually a fan of when this whole thing started. Thank God he's no longer the Messiah, because that was a disaster.
Oh, that was brutal.
From the very start. But when this one started now, I'm like, okay, whatever. Kind of grew on me, it kind of grew on me. And
when he came out tonight doing the dance with the fur coat and the whole thing, I actually started to laugh. I was like, this is so asinine. It's so absurd. Yeah. Like, I didn't see SmackDown this week, but like when he walked in, but I did catch a little of the SmackDown post show though, Roy. Very good to have Roy back on the SmackDown post show, everybody. Make sure you tune in on Fridays.
Thank you. Cheap plug. I love it. Thank you, Mike. Thanks. Good to be back.
But like even when I saw the recap where he walks in, like Adam Pearce says, we have a new opponent for your Royal Rumble, and Seth Rollins walks in, he's just laughing. I was like, it's a caricature at this point now. It's just like so ridiculous. It's so funny.
But that's it. And this is what maybe for me anyways took me so long to understand, because at one point I was like, it's just annoying. It's an annoying character and this and that. But then when you realize that the laugh is meant to annoy you and it's meant to bother you, you kind of get behind it. You're like, okay, this is actually not that bad. And the absurd suits and the laugh, and the whole I'm Seth freaking Rollins. It works at this point. It works. I like it. Whether he wins against Roman Reigns, a whole other thing, but it works.
It's just the commentators having to constantly say Seth freaking Rollins every single time they mention his name. That's where it gets it's death, because the commentators, they can't ever just editorialize and say Seth Rollins. It has to be no, his name is now Seth freaking Rollins. But Quentin actually asked a good question. Should we just call Vince McMahon? Should we change his name to McMahon or Vince? He's actually not Vince McMahon on the show. The character is Mr. McMahon. Mr. Yes. I think it's that way on WWE.com too. It's just Mr. McMahon. He's not Vince McMahon. It's Mr. McMahon.
It's Mr. McMahon, or as Kit Dyson wrote, Vinnie Mac. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the classic Vinnie Mac.
The classic Vinnie Mac. Yeah, they've had this weird obsession with name changes in the past couple of months. They've gotten rid of a couple of names. I mean, you said, Angel Garza, for example. Even Andrade, when Andrade was there. What was I can't remember the
Andrade Cien Almas, which was his NXT name. Which I guess that's an okay name drop, but they're like dropping the Matt from Matt Riddle. It's just like, it's because why? I guess because it's his real name and they have to trademark something. So
right. So you got to trademark Riddle. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not a name where it's like, oh, that's a family name. It's like Riddle is a word. It could be, oh, we could trademark just the idea of Riddle. Like, I don't know. It's like something weird. There's always something weird behind it, but they brand everything. Anyway, we have Seth freaking Rollins out here tonight. And actually, I thought this promo was terrible. I thought when Big E came out, it got worse. But I don't care how they got to the match as long as they got to the match, because I was actually really surprised that they gave us Seth freaking Rollins versus Big E tonight, but it didn't disappoint.
Two commercial breaks. Good match. The only thing is they put one of them in a spot where, and they've done this before on, I was gonna say on SmackDown, but they've done it before a billion times, where they'll stick two wrestlers in the match where neither one of them could afford to lose.
Yep.
And this is what they did tonight. Big E could not afford to lose. He lost. Same thing could have been said about Seth Rollins or Seth freaking Rollins. If Rollins loses, it's made to look weak going up against Roman Reigns. You can't have that. So it's a lose-lose for whoever loses, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't have the new number one contender, especially going against Roman Reigns, who's hasn't lost in since before March 2020. Yeah. He's unbeaten. Things looking worse for Big E all the time. I kind of agree, Kit. Now, I'd mentioned that on Twitter in my comments earlier tonight, that I thought it was a great match. And I thought the right person won, but I also thought the wrong person lost. If that makes any sense. Big E really, he should have been put in that situation tonight. Like, I don't know if Finn Balor was busy or Kevin Owens, but neither of them were on the show tonight. Actually, we haven't seen Finn in a couple weeks, so I kind of hoping that he's okay. Maybe he went home for the holidays and he's having trouble getting back. That's a distinct possibility.
Is he based in the UK?
I don't think so, but he probably has family there.
That's true. You're right. And holiday season, Christmas and everything. You're right.
Right. And with this Omicron stuff, things have just made everything so much more difficult as usual. It's like, I can't stand these variants anymore. But and I don't think Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins is the way to go either, because actually last week we kind of talked about on the show too that there's a possibility that Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens could be a great tag team.
Yeah.
That could go to WrestleMania for the Raw tag team titles. Who knows?
This was something that they started a couple of weeks back between Seth and Owens, and obviously it was Seth that kind of instigated the whole thing. But if they decide to turn them into a tag team, this could work. This could actually work. You could have them be the most annoying heelish tag team we've had in recent years, and absolutely, it could work. And you can have them be champions as well.
100%. And I'm looking through the Raw roster on WWE.com right now. It's like, they don't treat Rey Mysterio like he's the wrestling legend that he is right now. Rey could have easily been beaten by Seth Rollins in Philadelphia, and they could have had a great match.
Yeah.
And Big E could have had the squash match that Omos had tonight or something like that. But like they need to get in the rebuild mode for Big E because he lost the title on day one, 11 days ago now at this point. It's over past midnight on the East Coast. Then on Raw, he immediately loses his opportunity at a rematch. So he should be coming out this week and winning, but he's not. But it kind of makes me think maybe we need to put Big E up there for the Royal Rumble. Maybe they're going to have him go on a losing streak and then get really pissed off and come back and crush everybody at the Rumble.
I mean, we could do that, but then
it's Bobby Lashley versus Big E at WrestleMania potentially.
Again, that's and I'm not against it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against it because it's I like both of them. I think it could be a good match, but we just had that, right? Like 2-3 months ago. And I don't think they're going to drop Lesnar and Roman for Big E and Roman. So that's not going to happen.
No.
So unless it's Lesnar, whoever wins the Rumble is going to be facing Big E.
WrestleMania is 2 nights. So they need to have two main events.
Right.
I don't know though. Like the way Big E won the title, let's just put it bluntly, was cheap. It was a cheap look for the character to kind of, even though he declared that he was cashing it in on that night, he still beat Lashley after Lashley did have a match. That's, I'm just looking at it just from like a purely storyline standpoint, where it to an average viewer, that might look cheap. Have him win the Rumble, have him actually have a legit match against Bobby Lashley, see what happens. Problem is, I just don't think, I think even if Big E had a lot of momentum, I don't know if that's enough to carry night one of WrestleMania. Big E versus Bobby Lashley. I don't know if that's a big enough match. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that fall over themselves and say, oh, it's the first time, 2 African-American men have main evented WrestleMania. It's going to be they're the first to do that. It's like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if, you can build up all this history, but they still have to have a match. And, it's I'm so tired of that shouldn't be why the match is important. It's we're just doing it you don't want to do it just for history's sake. Do it because it's that's the best match that you had too. I don't know if it is.
It's not. I don't think it is. And momentum wise, I don't think it's enough to carry WrestleMania night one. And I don't think, for whatever reason, and I want your opinion on this, Mike, and everyone else in the chat as well. Whenever Big E was champ during his entire reign, I never felt like the company fully supported him or fully pushed him or whatever it was. It always felt like he's the champ, but he was never the face of the company. He was never the face of Raw. And for whatever reason, there was always someone else that was stealing the spotlight or something. And that's why a part of me thinks Big E could potentially win the Rumble, but another part of me thinks I don't think they believe in him enough.
Right. Yeah. I think, he kept, there's far too many of those goofy aspects of the New Day that he kept, which also hindered Kofi Kingston's title reign too. Where it was just it's you're the goofy comedy guy, but when you're carrying the main title, there has to be some edge there. And I never really felt an edge for Big E. Part of it is because he was only champion for a couple months and he lost a lot on TV.
He did. He did not. He was not made to look strong. The only time I felt where they actually, pushed Big E and made him look like a legit, badass was when he was still on SmackDown. When the New Day split up, he was on SmackDown and he was attacking, if I'm not mistaken, it was Baron Corbin. I remember him kind of beating him up backstage on, it was like a car or a limo or whatever it was. And that's when they really started pushing Big E right before and right when he won the Intercontinental title. And you're like, okay, they're building Big E up perfectly. He still had that New Day aspect, that little, goofiness, but it wasn't bad. But when you become WWE champion and you're on Raw and, Vince loves Raw and prefers it much more than SmackDown, your character, you've got to be, you got to be that tough guy. You got to be that, I'll rip your head off. And Big E has the physique for it, but his character, he's too much of a nice guy.
Yeah, and Kit's kind of right here. His outfit matched the New Day's outfits even when they were in different matches. This shows he's part of a team first and champ second. Yeah, it's the championship was never prioritized here. and and just kind of getting back to like that, oh, it's gonna be the first this or first that. It's like they said that about Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks last year at WrestleMania, but that's all cute stuff, and it's important, and it does make people feel good,
but that should be secondary.
That should be secondary. I thought when it was all said and done that by far Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair was the best match that they had to close out WrestleMania night.
Oh yeah.
By far. It was so good. And it was so deserving, more than just, their skin color. And like that like you said was secondary to the fact that they're just super athletes, super characters, and they deserve to be there. And not just because of a look. They deserve to be because that was the match to put there. So like I do think that there needs to be a little more work. If let's just say that Big E does win the Rumble, I think they need to take February and March to turn him from, like Kit Dyson said here, the guy who's team first and champ second, into a serious competitor.
Yeah.
He can keep those aspects of what makes Big E, like some of them, but there needs to be more than just that.
Yeah. And to add to that,
he should have come out tonight all pissed off, like instead he's like being sarcastic and laughing and doing goofy stuff, and even during the match he's gyrating. But then there was a great point where he spears Seth Rollins through the ropes and he gets like super pumped up. He's punching the floor. Like I want to see that Big E more.
Yeah. And another thing as well, and to kind of go back to the point that that you made and that Kit made regarding the whole New Day, is what didn't help Big E was the fact that he beat Lashley for the title, right? Money in the Bank, or sorry, he cashed in his Money in the Bank, whatever it was, but he never got a feud. His first feud was Roman Reigns, and even that was attached to the New Day and the Usos, so he was never able to get rid of that tagline of the New Day.
Right, and he had to lose.
And he had to lose, and he lost, lost. And it's like, okay, he's sticking up for his boys, for the New Day. He loses, and then he gets his first real kind of feud, or first real big match, and he loses that one to Lesnar in day one. So he never got going. They never, whatever it was, he just never got going, and they never trusted him, I don't think. And this is an excellent point right here by Quentin. Big E needs to be an aggressive babyface.
Right.
Something that they did to a certain extent with, let's say, Drew McIntyre. Right. At first, Drew McIntyre was kind of that. What's that? You used the term once. Whenever someone's a babyface and they're just they're it's like a dumb babyface, right?
Oh yeah. Trademark stupid babyface.
Stupid babyface. That's it. And they did that with Drew, and then at one point with Drew McIntyre, he smartened up and he got that attitude, he got that in your face stuff, albeit the sword was maybe a bit excessive. This is what they need to do with Big E, I think. It's just give him something else. I love that he went back to his old theme song and he's not using the New Day. Change up the outfits. Don't coordinate with the New Day with what they're wearing. Be your own character. Be your own.
And
guy.
Some of those mannerisms. Not everything has to be a joke. It's like we gotta. Like that's why Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar worked so well tonight, was because like they did some serious. I mean they did some jokey stuff, but then it got serious, and when it got serious, you believed it.
Oh yeah.
Like there was nothing serious about Big E's promo tonight. Even like it was just like kind of joking around about getting Seth Rollins to accept a match. And he lost. And he winds up losing anyway. So he forces Seth Rollins to take this match, and then he loses. So now he's just like, oh, he's picking fights with people that he can't even hang with.
Yeah. And he loses clean. That's right.
And I'm not trying to complain. Low blow, no like, nothing. Oh, he got, he poked him in the eye, nothing. Clean.
No. Zero. And I know a lot of us, I'll be the first one to say it. Sometimes we complain about, oh my God, these DQ finishes and this and that. Maybe this could have been one of those matches where a DQ finish would have been better than to just have your former champ lose clean for the second or third match in a row.
Potentially, but at the same time, I can't argue a clean finish either.
No,
It is a refreshing change of pace, and
for sure.
and it's a bad look. It's a bad move to book them into a situation where like someone's going to lose and it's really going to hurt them.
Yeah.
Which means that you just shouldn't book that match. But if you're going to do that match and you're going to make everybody, get invested and spend 20 minutes watching this match, go through 2 commercial breaks, you better give them a finish, because at the end of the day, while it hurts the Big E character a little bit, that's reversible. Whereas if you continue to insult the intelligence of your audience and get them invested in stuff that doesn't pay off, that has shown to be devastating to their viewership, because they've leaned on that for so long that it wound up impacting. I really do believe that's part of the reason why ratings went down. It's more than just COVID. Ratings have been falling for years. Viewership has been falling for years. It's more than just people cutting the cord and COVID. It's bad practices. So they booked themselves in a corner. It sucked, but clean finish was the way to go. But
I suppose you're right in that sense.
In my opinion,
no, it's. I mean, looking back, look, if they had gone with a DQ finish, I probably would have been here complaining about it. So
yeah, me too.
So I'll accept it. I'll accept that.
Good morning, Brian. Welcome to the
Brian.
show. Welcome to the show. And
thank you
Brian,
for joining.
Brian says the fall of Big E has sadly started. We'll see. If he doesn't win the Rumble, I'll agree with that statement.
If he doesn't win the Rumble, or if he doesn't get a big push, or if they don't do something with him leading into WrestleMania, I think he's going down that Nakamura route.
Speaking of a precipitous fall, humongous, almost irreversible fall, we had a segment for the ages with Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ass. At least they broke up the team. Nikki Ass turned on Rhea Ripley, but my God, to get from A to B, there was a giant cliff in between them.
This was
horrible.
You're putting it kindly. This was a train wreck.
This broke him. Look at this man. He's slumping in his chair.
This was a train wreck of epic proportion. So Rhea Ripley, they've done absolutely nothing with since bringing her back from NXT. Former women's tag team champions, yippee, that meant nothing.
Yeah, her night 1 WrestleMania win against, or night 2, I can't remember what it was. Probably night 2. Against Asuka meant nothing.
Who remembers that?
It was a horrible match too. And they went back and forth with her being face and heel. It's like, what are you doing?
Then I think they had the rematch the next night on Raw, I think, or something. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Right about that.
Yeah, that was bad. And then Nikki ASH. Look, I'm nothing against Nikki, but this whole character has been a disaster from the get-go. Cashed in Money in the Bank. I think she won, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Nothing since, right? Nothing. Stuck with a tag team with Rhea Ripley. Did no good for any one of them. And then you have this soap opera showdown between them both in the middle of the ring. And you could tell the crowd did not care, was not invested. I don't know what they're going to do with this. I know what they're going to do with this. We're going to get some feud, and they're probably going to end up at the Royal Rumble pre-show, kickoff show. But turning Nikki ASH heel and Rhea Ripley I can't. I have so many thoughts going through my head. This segment was so bad. I'm rambling on. I don't even know. I can't conjure up my thoughts.
It was just horrible. And yes, they're gonna have a mini feud where Rhea Ripley will hopefully beat Nikki Ass and just be done with this. My fear is that, and Andrew K's kind of right, the poor crowd.
This is bad.
I think she and Alexa get back together long term.
Oh God. No, that's another one we got to talk about.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Like if Nikki, Ass, and Alexa Bliss get back together, and kind of they can help each other in that sense. But I just don't know how much damage is going to be done to Rhea Ripley now. Where did I see it? Kit Dyson said Rhea's young; she can afford the time it will take to rebuild. Problem is that if WWE doesn't see any value in you anymore, they'll cut you immediately. Now she's got a great look. She's really, really good in the ring. The promo obviously needs some help
for sure,
but I don't know if this is like going to do lasting damage because there's not a lot of women on the roster, and to be in a segment that's just so awful, and a tag team that's been so awful, and twice they called her up and dropped the ball on her. I don't know how you dropped the ball on Rhea Ripley that badly, but they did twice.
This was...
I don't know if it's third time a charm. Somebody wrote that to me on Twitter tonight. Third time's the charm, I guess. I don't know.
Possibly.
I don't know if you get a third chance.
I don't know. And she's been in the ring with some big names. I mean, Charlotte, Asuka. So she's had some big matches. But it's not working for whatever reason. She's not being booked properly. And this is not on her. I truly don't think it's on her because, like you said, she has a good look. She's good in the ring. She could have some good matches, but they're just booking her. I mean, no one, I don't care who it is. You could take Charlotte Flair. Doesn't matter. If you put her in that segment tonight with Nikki, or if you reverse it, you put someone in place of Nikki with Rhea, the way that went down, no one could pull it off.
No.
And it took forever.
It's like the Big E thing where it's just like they're booked. They're not booking for success in that case. It's just like like with the Big E thing is like, well, I guess Kevin Owens and Finn Balor aren't there tonight, and those are the only other viable options for Seth. So it's like, well, Big E, you got to do it. It's like, all right, well, we're not booking for success here, but we're booking to survive in a sense. The Nikki Ash Rhea Ripley thing, that's just not booking for success at all.
No.
And never should have left the writing room with that dialogue. And it went too long. It dragged. Like Nikki was trying to be all emotional and just was like, nobody has any connection to this tag team. Zero. It's like when they try to like say like Liv Morgan had all this momentum going into day one, and she really didn't. It really wasn't there.
This was and I'm laughing because this is a comment by Brian. He wrote, you choose to do this in Philly of all places. It's like poor them. And I mean, this is not to be mean, right? But it's this whole character has felt like this.
That's what I've been calling her from day one, because I think somebody on commentary actually said it by accident.
Oh, that's so bad.
So bad. And think about this. They made her drop the Cross name from her name because of carrying Cross, who's not even there anymore. So just bring back Nikki Cross and be done with this. By the way, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I saw a lot of people pop up after I got the buzz on my phone that Georgia beat Alabama for the college football playoff national championship game. So thanks everybody for joining us. I mean, that's a big important win for Georgia there. They haven't won a title since 1980. So hey, welcome to the show.
Wow. So they don't steal their championships like the Yankees.
Hold on a second here. What titles have we stolen? We haven't won a title in 12 years. So now it's gonna be 13 going on.
Oh, cry me a river, Mike. Come on.
Blue Jays.
Just teasing you. No, Red Sox.
Oh God.
Yeah. What? Yeah. See. Yeah, I'm Red Sox.
Oh my God. Really? You talk about stealing championships, Alex Cora? Excuse me.
Oh, come on.
In 2018,
you want to talk about 12, 13 years without a championship. How long did the Red Sox stay without a championship?
Well, big deal. They sold Babe Ruth and were cursed for years. Who cares?
Wow. Yeah, that got him a place in the WWE Hall of Fame.
That's true.
Oh, God. How do we get to this?
I have no idea, but horrible segment with Nikki Ash.
This was bad.
Okay, next we have Omos. There's some segment with the 24/7 title, which is like I still cannot believe that's a thing. I cannot believe that's a thing. Omos beats a local jobber in a squash match, and just to show how not ready Omos is to be a single star. Like even a squash match against a local guy was just, it looked so dull and unimpressive. Like I don't know how they didn't have Omos like press the guy up in the air, because Omos is like 7'4" or something like that. So the guy would be legitimately like 9 feet in the air or something like that, and then slam him down. But there was nothing that made me say like, oh my god, this guy is like a really powerful guy.
Nothing. And
it failed as a squash match.
Oh, it really did. It did. And when it first started, like when you know Omos comes down to the ring and he's in the ring with the jobber, I'm like, okay, this is I like these kinds of like squash matches. I love them. If done properly from time to time, it's cool. Everybody laughs. You have fun with it.
Made Braun Strowman.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He did it for a couple of weeks as well. And
Ryback. I'm thinking of guys in recent years.
There was the other one as well. He got let go. He had like 2 pushes on SmackDown. Big bald guy. Was in the adult entertainment industry.
Yeah, Lars Sullivan.
There you go. He had a couple of squash matches as well, and they all worked. This one just didn't work. His facial expressions, he took way too long. Nothing to do with the jobber. The jobber sold perfectly. This was on Omos. There you go, Brian. Perfect. Absolutely. Squash matches are supposed to enhance you, not expose you. He got exposed.
That's it.
He got exposed.
You know, he's slow plodding in the ring. Like there's no real like impressive power moves. It's like the guy bumped well for him. It's not on the jobber here.
No.
You know, like but there's just nothing where it's like, wow, that was a really impressive power move that not a lot of people could do. There's nothing there.
No,
it's
not like there was no, I don't know, one-handed choke slam or some crazy power bomb or gorilla press.
Nothing even where he like really held him up. I mean, like he put him in a fireman's carry. Like, you know, a fireman's carry is designed, you know, it like where, you know, a light firefighter could put somebody on their shoulders, carry somebody out of a building. It's like, you know, like if you're going to pick somebody up that's bigger than you, that's the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when he picks up like, you know, a guy who looks like he weighed 140 pounds and put him on his shoulders, it's like, that's not impressive. That doesn't look impressive.
No. And you know what we're getting next week? You know what we're getting next week, right, Mike?
Reggie versus Omos.
There you go. So get ready for some acrobatics.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Oh
yes, Brian. We know. They beat Bama. Somebody's got to do a wellness check on Josh Boutwell tonight. Tough night in the Boutwell household here.
Ouch.
We got and speaking of households that are getting a little weird, the Cutting Edge with special guest Beth Phoenix.
Ooh.
Edge and Beth Phoenix. Oh my God. Well, Edge comes out. I mean, every time his music hits, people just go insane for the guy.
Yeah, he's a fan favorite. And we saw it at the Rumble when he came back 2 years ago now.
Oh my God. I mean, like, well, that was just massive. Like you never thought you'd see him again. You know, it's like wrestle again, and then he comes back. I mean, the roof blew off the place. I mean, like that's one of the biggest. I think that's one of the biggest moments that I've ever recapped for Wrestleview.
The Rumble return.
That Rumble return was one of the probably one of the most emotional ones that it's up there on some of the most emotional things that I've had a chance to recap. Like the Daniel Bryan initial retirement speech is definitely up there. Like I've had a lot of moments through the years. Even Undertaker's last match, I got to recap that, but I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
You know, there's been big things that have happened, you know, that I've gotten a chance to recap. But like when Edge came out, like that was just wild.
That was huge.
That was wild. It was like right up there with like the Ronda Rousey debut match that I recapped. It was like, oh wow, like just something like a cataclysmic shift in wrestling happens. It was incredible. So he's still getting like this great thing, but man, like Beth Phoenix, she was a good wrestler, but you know, she's a Hall of Famer because they have a woman quota that like, I'm not taking anything away from Beth Phoenix, but I'm saying there is a quota of like, you know, they need to have a woman, they need to have a tag team, they need to have, you know,
someone of color,
you know, someone of color. Yes, indeed. as part of their thing. And, Trish Stratus, Lita, slam dunk, Hall of
For
Famers
sure.
on their own merit. But it's like, okay, Jacqueline.
I mean, maybe Jacqueline was more for her impact in wrestling. I think that's how I took
Ivory?
it, more than her time in WWE.
Ivory?
Quota.
That was a quota one.
That's a quota one.
Beth Phoenix, she's better than Ivory, better than Jacqueline.
For sure.
So I guess she makes the Hall of Fame on that. Molly Holly. I mean, Molly Holly's a great person, but like in terms of wrestling, it's like Hall of Famer. I don't know.
There's certainly a couple that are. I mean, you just mentioned it, definitely quota.
Right. Bella Twins deserve. That'll get me hate, but they deserve to be. I mean, they changed the status of women, in WWE and put more focus on them, and their show was a big reason for that.
Of course, Total Divas.
So like that's that had an impact on wrestling. That had a shift, for wrestling and made it a little more mainstream with people that wouldn't normally put eyes on professional wrestling. So that's Hall of Fame worthy to me. On top of actually being not as bad as everybody kind of remembers. Ivory was 80s women's wrestling. It's like, like she was Glow, I guess. That's cool. But that's not that certainly wasn't really part of the
that's not why they inducted her. That's no. But yeah, no, with Beth, and what struck me as very interesting, and maybe it's just me, I've never seen an actual couple or a married couple on WWE television that had so little chemistry. Was it just me? I couldn't. I mean, no.
What's with the Beth hair? It's like is Edge married to Rufio from Hook? It's like so weird.
I don't know. Like
Beth Phoenix was never a good promo, and it's like her being gone for a long time and didn't really help that.
And she did commentary on NXT as well.
Yeah, she wasn't bad on that, but she wasn't like the lead commentator, and she would just sprinkle in some little tidbits every now and then. But in terms of actually cutting like a money promo, not much there.
No. I mean, it was Edge that obviously carried the promo for their side, and they were as bad as Seth and.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
That is true.
They're pretty awful too.
That is.
I'd like to see Brood Beth. I'll take that.
It's got to be better than what we're getting now.
Yeah, it has to be.
This is bad. I'm really not trying to hate on her, by the way. Really, really not. But it's just there you go. So Andrew, I'm not the only one. There was no chemistry, and I mean, look, Miz and Maurice. I learned to really like the Miz or appreciate the Miz for what he's doing. Maurice as well, but when you put them together, you could legitimately believe, they're a married couple and they have their chemistry is great on screen.
They're awesome. They made a whole show about them.
Yeah, they did. Whereas, like, obviously, and this is neither here nor there. Like, obviously, they're married and happily married and have kids, and that's great. But when you put them on television together, Edge and Beth, they don't mix. It doesn't make for I want to see this segment. I want to watch them. Not really. It's no.
I have like weird things floating in my head that I'm just gonna refrain from saying.
It's God,
It's like, man, like when Edge, I'm just gonna quit while I'm ahead. But he was talking.
Yeah, I think I know what you're getting at.
Like, okay, well, I guess to each his own. But this was not a good segment. I didn't really like it. I like you said, Beth and Edge had like no in-ring, like had no chemistry together. The Miz thing and Maurice, like I think Maurice is supposed to act afraid, but I never really got that from her face, and she's kind of walked away. It was just like, well, I guess that was one way to end that segment. Next, like I still think the matches at the Royal Rumble is gonna be great. I really do.
Yeah.
But this segment wasn't it.
No. And you know what? Come to think of it, and now that you mentioned, the match at the Rumble, when was the last time the Miz actually won a big match? Because he looks like he's at a point in his career where he's put in. I mean, he was put in with Bad Bunny and he lost. Now he's put in with Edge, and he's gonna lose. They're not gonna win that one. So for Miz, is it just he's at a point in his career where similar maybe, and I know you mentioned in the tweet, but similar to maybe AJ Styles, where he's in that point in his career of, hey, I'm just gonna do the job. I'm a company man, I'm a company guy, and what they ask me, I'm gonna do, because I cannot remember the last time he won. I mean, what, him and Morrison? Do you really count that?
Okay, I swear to God, I'm looking at his Internet Wrestling database profile here. The last singles match that The Miz won was against Jeff Hardy on March 22nd, 2021. Now, granted, he was gone for a while because of the knee injury, but he's never won. He did not win a single match when he returned, and then he went on Dancing with the Stars. And before that, he won the WWE title, and then
the cash in on Drew. I mean, Brian, that's what Brian wrote, the cash in on Drew, I guess.
Yeah, that would be the last big match, I guess, that he won. But there's only four televised victories for The Miz in 2021.
Wow.
There was a tag match with him and John Morrison where they beat Sheamus in a handicap match, the WWE title match, the Jeff Hardy match, and John Morrison and The Miz. Miz, the last time Miz actually won a match was when he pinned Damian Priest in his underwear on the Raw after WrestleMania. The guy doesn't win. He's always been like the heel enhancement guy, I guess.
That's what they're doing, and I get it. And maybe they need something weird for Edge to do at for the Rumble. I have no clue, but I mean, you mentioned his 4 wins. 1 was a handicap match, 1 was a cash in, 1 was against Jeff Hardy. And one he won in his underpants.
Yeah, and he pinned, but he pinned Damian Priest in his underwear, which I always thought was just like, wow.
Aside from the cash in, which even I've forgotten, and thanks for that, Brian. Aside from the cash in, who remembers any of those?
No,
I don't. I really don't. He's that Dolph Ziggler. He's becoming like Dolph Ziggler. He's becoming maybe a little bit like AJ Styles in the sense of, he still has that credibility where if someone beats him, like, okay, wow, I got to win versus The Miz. But it feels like it's been years since The Miz actually won something. And even when he won the title against Drew, his entire title reign, he was getting destroyed by Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, it was a week long, and he got immediately lost. So not good. And part of me thinks that they almost have to have Miz and Maurice win at the Rumble. Just to kind of give but it would also give something Miz to talk about, and then push his Hall of Fame, credentials more or whatever it is. But he does need to have some kind of signature victory, because the one that he continues to hang his hat on is from 2011 when he beat John Cena at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But he'll always have that. He'll always have main events at WrestleMania, which is still the weirdest thing I think in wrestling history is The Miz main evented and won a WrestleMania main event. I'm trying to talk too loud because I don't want Victoria to hear me saying that, because she'll all of a sudden find her voice and come downstairs and scream at me.
No worries. Put it this way, and this is, I guess, to piss some of the marks off, but Miz main evented and won a WrestleMania. CM Punk didn't.
That's right. That's right.
There you go. That'll get us some heat.
Ouch. I didn't say it.
I accept it.
AJ Styles takes on Austin Theory. He wins by DQ when a man named Grayson Waller attacks him. Apparently, AJ Styles has been feuding with this man on NXT 2.0. I do not watch that show anymore, so I know nothing about it.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing with AJ.
I put in my tweet tonight that I was like, I guess that they've determined that AJ is at a certain age and it's now time for him to be the guy that everyone beats on the way up. That's so stupid. Because the guy has so much to give.
That's it. He could still go. He could legitimately, I mean, if done properly, I'm not over exaggerating. I don't think if pushed properly and everything, AJ Styles could legitimately still main event to WrestleMania, in my opinion, anyways.
100%. I don't think he's ever main evented WrestleMania, actually. Now that I think about it.
No, I mean,
he did. Night one against The Undertaker. That was the
right, the pandemic. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
He did. He even has that
He
on his
did.
record. He has Undertaker's final match on his belt. So
there you go. And the WrestleMania main event.
Yep.
2-1. Wow.
Pretty
I forgot
good.
about that. Yeah.
He's had a hell of a career, but I don't think but it's like one of those like weird things where it's like, oh well, they've determined that it's over because of his age, and then
But look at Lesnar, look at Lashley.
I think they're older. If they're not older than their same age. Orton, exactly. Like I can't imagine them telling Randy Orton, like, okay, well, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna lose to Braun Breaker on match 3 of Monday Night Raw.
I mean, yeah. Technically, Breaker is a Steiner, though, so
that's true. That's true.
But yeah,
Grayson Waller. How about that?
Yeah, that's a whole other thing, though.
Yeah, you're gonna go out there and lose to Akira Tozawa, match 4 of the night, because we see something in Akira, so we're gonna give him a victory over you. Like I don't think that's happening.
No, he was stuck so long with Omos, and that went
such a bad tag team.
Yeah, I understand the charm or the idea behind it. I get what they were trying to do, but maybe because of Omos or whatever, it didn't work. It just didn't work. It went on for way too long. And look, AJ's a guy that no matter what, he could still go and he'll still have a 5-star match no matter who you put him with.
Right.
So hopefully they give him something, and they give him something soon, because he's just swallowing away.
He kind of is, and they're just wasting him.
Yeah.
So we got a Alexa Bliss. They finally they're bringing her back a little bit, and the very first thing that they do, she's sitting in a psychiatrist's office or a psychologist's office. I don't know if the guy can prescribe medicine or not, so we'll just call him a psychologist for now. They got Newton's cradle in there, and it's doing the thing where the balls are going back and forth, and then she uses the magic to stop it. And I was like, bad start. Yeah. Very bad start. She's still in the female fiend gear. She destroys the office after the guy shows her video of Lily, the doll, being destroyed. And then she says, I'll see you next week. So potential for Alexa Bliss to win the Royal Rumble for sure. Probably face Charlotte Flair. Although I don't know about that, because they keep mentioning this is her journey back to Raw. But oh my God, I don't like. They cannot keep like. I'm hoping that the freak out was like the turn to an edgier character, where it's not like edgy because it's like, oh, it's magic, and a lot of people don't like this. It's like, and we'll just keep pushing her because people hate it. It's like, actually make it something where people want to see this. I get that they like the merchandising aspect of the female fiend, but you can keep those aspects, but lose the magic. I almost said a word I don't want to say right now. But yes.
Yeah, it's when I saw that character, and the second I saw the magic as well, just like you, Mike, I'm like, this is not a good start. This is a horrible start. There's continuing with this. But hopefully the fact that she's at a whatever it is, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever it is, the fact that she's there maybe means they're gonna work on the character and maybe revert her back to how she was before.
Right.
Let's just hope it doesn't take too long.
Right. With some aspects of the female fiend thing in there,
sure,
like just
keep her. Keep her a little. Keep the outfit, keep the makeup. She could have her little outbursts, but as long as the outbursts don't result in anything magical,
right?
I don't want any superpowers.
Like the hypnotism, that was horrific. The thing where she appears in the corner and disappears. It's like, just stop. Let's just stop it.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever be able to do that again, because that was at the Performance Center.
Right.
The Thunderdome. But I do agree. Anything like that they've just gotta.
Yeah, it's just gotta end. But when she freaked out and started destroying the office, I did like that. So I thought they saved that pretty well. I was waiting for like her to like blink and like the office sets on fire or something stupid. It's like they just had her freak out and destroy some things, which is always an effective tool. Like Brock Lesnar destroying cars is like still one of my favorite memories on Raw.
That was great.
Like, I love watching people destroy things. Brock Lesnar in Triple H's office destroying things was fun. So Alexa Bliss destroying things, that's a fun segment.
It's a good start, or it's a good ending at least.
Good ending, and it's and sometimes not how you start, it's how you finish, and they finished strong on that. So I'll give them that.
That's true. That's true.
And Raw finished strong with a very, very good triple threat match with Doudrop, Liv Morgan, and Bianca Belair. Winner faces Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble for the women's title. And Doudrop comes out on top after Bianca Belair almost has Liv Morgan beat, and then Becky Lynch runs in and tosses her out of the ring. Doudrop pins Liv Morgan with a bonsai drop to win the match. Great match. Obviously, the direction is Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. But from a storyline perspective, it's kind of stupid that Becky Lynch would let Doudrop win as well. You would think she'd want to face Liv Morgan again if she's a heel champion. But
yeah, I'm just glad that when Becky got involved, they didn't call for the bell and have it end in a no DQ.
Right. Yeah. Because initially when that happened, I was like, oh my God, they're doing a DQ finish here.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh no, it's a triple threat match. They don't do DQs in triple threats.
Yeah. Well, normally they shouldn't.
But like I always thought. Now this is just my little aside here, and I know that our show's going along a little bit, so I'll try to keep it brief. But I always thought like WrestleMania 2000, the Nintendo 64 video game, had this figured out really well. Where if you had a triple threat match and you had DQs on, if you used a weapon in the match and hit the person, you would be disqualified. Yeah. You would be kicked out of the match, and all of a sudden it becomes a singles match.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a great game.
That was a great game. They were way ahead of their time on wrestling too. And I was like, that would give them extra options for finishes too.
It would. And I've always liked that. Or when you do a triple threat elimination or fatal four-way elimination, I always prefer those over just the regular triple threat or fatal four-way, whatever it is. But to go back to your point, that was a great game. I love that game.
Exactly.
I love that game. So I'm not saying I disagree with you, because I'm not, but my prediction before this match was Doudrop wins, and I think we get Liv Morgan winning the Rumble.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think we get Liv Morgan winning the Rumble, just because I don't know if they'll have Bianca Belair win it twice, like in a row.
If they're serious about rebuilding her, they should.
But are they? That's the whole thing. And
well, here's the other scary thing: Charlotte Flair's in the Royal Rumble too.
They could. I mean, if you have Charlotte win and then they play the whole Charlotte versus. See, so maybe my theory's not that bad.
Maybe title versus title. Right maybe about the unification of the titles.
There you go. You got Charlotte winning.
Becky main events night 1, Lesnar versus Reigns night 2.
There you go. I could be onto something. My craziness might be on, or I just might be crazy at this point. I don't know.
Ray's onto something here.
It's an idea. I'm just throwing it out there. Although logically speaking, Bianca makes the most sense anyways. Bianca makes the most sense. Daniel wrote, what about Bayley? I know Bayley, I mentioned this on the SmackDown show. Bayley should be back in and around now Rumble time, because I remember when she got injured,
she'd be a surprise.
Yeah, I remember when she got injured, I did the math. I'm like, okay, it was like 9 months from now, and I did the math like 9 months around January, so she could be back. I just don't know if they have her win the Rumble.
I don't think they have her win the Rumble, but I think she'll be Final Four at least.
Yeah.
Now Sasha Banks is not going to be in the Rumble.
No complaints from me.
I just wanted to see your reaction.
Yeah, no, that's like the good news. See, I could watch the Rumble in peace, knowing whoever wins, I'm happy about it. You want to have Lita win it? Go for it. Totally deserves it. You want to have? I'll sit through a Beth Phoenix promo at this point. I don't care. As long as she's not in that match, I'm totally okay with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Well, this was a very watchable show. I mean, the segment with Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash is probably the low point of the show. But other than that, like everything kind of breezed by. Nothing dragged. It was fun to watch. Like, of course, there's always things that you question, after a show in hindsight. It's like, the Big E thing especially. But, I didn't feel like I wasted my life watching the show. It was actually enjoyable and fun, and the matches were good. Crowd was good. I have no, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on what you think, and I'll show the Twitter poll in a few. Yeah. And chat, please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down what you thought of this show. But Roy, what did you think first?
Yeah. Oh, thumbs up, clearly. Even the parts that maybe, weren't as strong. So you had the 24/7 segment, but even that didn't drag on, right? It was like a 1 minute thing. It happened. It's cool. Okay, fine, whatever. The squash match with Omos, wasn't the best either, but it didn't drag on. The only thing
Right.
that dragged on, like you said, was, Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash. And that's fine. If out of a 3-hour show, I get 10 or 15 minutes of just like really bad television, and the rest is like from decent to very good. Yeah, that's a thumbs up easily any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Yep, which is all you can ask for from Monday Night Raw at this point.
Yeah.
Raw's been killing it lately, so thumbs up. Wonder where they go with RK Bro. Rollins is getting that main event push. Can't wait for Lashley Lesnar. I'm with Daniel.
Yeah.
I do wonder where they go with RK Bro as well. But it was really good. That was really good. I'm gonna put up the Twitter poll.
Yeah. There were so many good things. Corey says I'll catch up with it this week. You should. Honestly, go back. I'm not just saying this to say this. Go back and watch this show right here, because
Yes.
we covered it pretty much in depth. And there you go. If you take a look at it, what did you think? So let me.
So 63% of the Twitter followers gave it a thumbs up, that's really good. I mean, for the last couple of weeks, Raw has been getting all thumbs up from Twitter, which it's a very difficult place to please.
Yes. Oh yeah. Very easy to see some thumbs down there.
Brian says Brock Lesnar and Heyman is always great TV, and I've seen worse Raws. Thumbs up.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Fully agree.
Daniel wants to know if Lesnar showing up on the Blue Show. They didn't announce it, but they didn't announce Lesnar for tonight either.
Yeah,
I imagine he'll be on every single SmackDown heading into Rumble.
I think so. I think he will be. But you know what? You got to tune into SmackDown, or if not, at least tune into the post show to find out if Lesnar is or was on SmackDown. But
yes,
I think he will be.
Yeah, I think so too. But Roy, what a great pleasure to have you on the show tonight. This is one of your only one of a handful of times you've been on the Wrestleview Post show with us.
Yeah, for Raw, this is,
I
want to say it's the first, maybe second ever, but I want to say first time ever. Daniel, shameless promotion. Roy, of course, I learned from Mick Foley. What do you expect?
Absolutely. Were you on the Raw with us? I think is this this cannot be your first post Raw.
I believe it is actually.
Wow.
We obviously did pay-per-views, or premium live events.
And we got Royal Rumble coming up.
There you go. Watch out for that.
With special surprises. There will be special surprises on the Rumble. I've secured one big name so far.
Yeah.
The second we're working on.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, the rumors and
rumors and innuendo.
There you go. I was gonna say that, but yeah, I figured. Yeah. I want to say this is the first time. Yeah, probably the first time I think I've been on the show.
Well, we won't make you a stranger here for sure. Hopefully, Victoria will have a voice back next week and she'll be on the show with us. But Roy, thanks for jumping in. And really, I had so much fun talking with you that we spent almost 2 hours talking about Monday Night Raw. But Corey Howell, I think I agree with you 100% here. Post-Raw and SmackDown, always a thumbs up. Indeed. On that note, we're going to close it up for tonight, but we thank you all for joining us, especially after college football. You can be so spent after college football championships that you might not want to tune in and find out about wrestling, but everybody kind of tuned in after that happened, and you've enjoyed the show with us. We enjoy presenting the show to you. I am Mike Tedesco, and that is Roy Nemmer. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
All right, and we'll see Roy on Friday on the Post SmackDown show, and you'll see me again next Monday, hopefully joined by my very own Maurice, Victoria. Have a good one, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye, everyone.
Stay warm on the East Coast, please. For God's sake, it's freezing. Ciao.